with no surprise, seeing your eyes, serene blue of the lake.
Welcome to the Dream Journal. From the studios of KSQD in Santa Cruz, the Dream Journal is a weekly show where we explore the healing powers of your nighttime dreams. In the words of Carl Jung, who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. Today's music is called Majestrophy. Transform your tragic into magic. After all, a crisis is a terrible thing to waste. Our guest today is Dr. Dream herself, the inimitable Kelly Sullivan Walden. I am your host, Catherine Bell of Experiential DreamWork, and welcome to the Dream Journal. The Dream Journal is also a weekly podcast. You can please subscribe, rate, and review. And most importantly, tell your friends about the Dream Journal. This podcast you listen to, you're interested in dreams, and maybe you have friends that are interested in dreams that you just didn't know. But if you tell them about the podcast, then you get a chance to talk about your dreams. And there's something about dreams that really want to be talked about. If you miss up some of the shows, you can go back to the archives. Full archives are available at ksqd.org/the-dream-journal. Okay, starting with my personal dream work. The way I do, you may tell that I have a bit of a cold. It's not COVID, but it is a cold, and I'm at home drinking tea with honey and lemon, and I had a dream on, it was Tuesday morning, which maybe was like a little presaging of this cold. I had a little bit of a sore throat Monday afternoon. And there is, and I didn't think much of it. It's a little bit of a sore throat. And then Tuesday morning, I woke up with a dream about 3 horses. And one of the horses had spears in its back, like the bullfighters do. They put spears in the back of the bull. And it was right up there in the withers of the horse, right in front of where the saddle would be, kind of just below the shoulders. And the horse was still running strong, but I'm like, oh, that horse looks injured. What can we do about it? And that was the dream. But there's something about that is where the cold has settled for me. A couple days later, it took a couple days before it really dropped into my lungs. And now it's like right in my bronchioles. And I've been coughing. And I wonder now that I think about that dream, I wonder if that was presaging my cold and the attack of my lungs. And yet the horse is running strongly, and I have been pretty strong, even though I sound pretty terrible, I bet. I apologize. But I feel pretty strong, and I'm so glad to be able to be with you all on the radio today. Okay, so during the last 30 minutes of the show, we will be taking call-ins, and so you can get ready for that. But you can also email us anytime at onair@ksqd.org. Rick is there in the studio checking the emails. Again, that email, onair@ksqd.org. All right, I want to welcome Kelly Sullivan Walden. Hello, Kelly.
Hello, Catherine.
Yay, so glad to have you on the show. It has been over 3 years since you were on the show. I can't believe, number one, have I been on the air that long? And number two, it's been that long since I had you on the show. In the meantime, I've been on your show once or twice because Kelly is a podcaster, as am I.
Mm-hmm. It's so good to be with you. I'm so sorry about your cold, but you're championing on, and we'll take those spears out of the back of your horses. Oh man,
yes,
we should talk about that.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I want to let you know that Kelly Sullivan Walden is also known as Dr. Dream, that she is an award-winning bestseller author of 10 books. 10 books, my goodness. Her latest is A Crisis is a Terrible Thing to Waste, The Art of Transforming the Tragic into magic. A dream expert, certified clinical hypnotherapist, inspirational speaker, and workshop facilitator, Kelly holds a doctorate degree in interfaith studies. Her unique approach to dream work led her to consult with thousands of individuals, from Fortune 500 executives to celebrities to stay-at-home moms. She hosts the Kelly Sullivan Walden Show podcast and is the founder of DreamWork Practitioner Training, an online professional development program empowering people to incorporate dream work into their careers. So you can find Kelly at kellysullivanwalden.com. kellysullivanwalden.com. So, Kelly, maybe you can start by telling us a bit about yourself and your journey with dreams. Like, what got you started with dreaming?
I started paying attention when I was very little. My first experience actually was, my first remembered dream was a nightmare. And it was around Halloween. I remember that it was a witch that was chasing me around a castle. The upper part of it, it was like an open air. There were turrets, and I remember trying to figure out how to kill the witch or how to evade the witch. And I would go back to that dream, and eventually I learned that my sister was having a similar dream. And we were just a year and a half apart in age, and we discovered that this was a regular occurrence for us. We were having tandem dreaming. So this became a ritual of ours. Over breakfast, we would talk about the dreams we were having. In fact, my mom would come into our room sometimes in the middle of the night and say, "Girls, stop talking." And she'd realize that we were both sound asleep, but talking in our sleep to each other, having a conversation inside a dreamscape that had nothing to do with what was going on around.
Wow.
And I eventually, when we talked about this witch, we talked about what we were going to do with her and how we needed to make ourselves bigger, stronger, so we could eventually throw her off the edge of this tower. And eventually I did. So this was, it seemed like just kind of a fun, playful thing, even though it was scary about this witch. But talking about dreams, engaging in them, was just something I did as a kid. And it became a regular aspect of my relationship with my sister. And it still to this day is something that we do. And we still dream about each other. We're still in each other's dreams and in similar dreamscapes. It's not as often these days, but the result of all of that is that we've become really psychically attuned. And I think anybody who shares dreams with one another, they become more entrained with each other. We sync up psychically. So this is one of the values of dreaming. But there was a lot of years in my growing up years that I was really attentive to dreams, and I think I had a pretty magical childhood, as many of us do, because children are just childlike and magical, and that's just kind of comes with the territory. But when the contrast came in my early 20s, when I set out toward Hollywood to become a movie star, I stopped paying attention to my internal dreams and started paying more attention to the outer world, which is sort of a normal thing to do as a young adult. But I had like great things come up. I mean, great parts that I was offered, and then horrible things, lots of Me Too moments that were so devastating. And eventually I had a quarter life breakdown when I was about 25, where I didn't want to be on the planet anymore. I had lost myself. I had lost my core sense of self. I had become such a world-class people pleaser that I stopped being connected to my own soul. And instead of taking myself off the planet, I luckily found myself in the office of a very skilled therapist who led me to get into 12-step programs, and that led to me working with shamans, that led to eventually me getting my dreams back. And in therapy, the therapist said to me when I was sharing with her one of my horrible dreams, kind of connecting back to that witch trying to kill me. It was creatures that were chasing after me, trying to kill me. She said, a nightmare is an unfinished dream. You can you can learn how to finish your dream. And this was something that I had done when I was little. And so I knew there was value to this, and that it had to come back full circle. And that so empowered me that began, I didn't realize it at the time, but that began the big shift in my life from being so disempowered and feeling so at the behest of everyone else's whim, what everyone else wanted from me, and feeling like a zero, feeling like, I remember describing myself as a donut, frosty on the outside, but empty shell on the inside, just empty. And that moment in that therapy session began the shift where I started to value my internal life, value my dreams, even though they were scary and difficult. I started to engage in them. I started to do my inner work. And eventually the dream stopped being so terrifying. But I eventually went to hypnotherapy school because I wanted to understand more about the subconscious dreaming mind. And then I began to see clients, and I began my life as a professional. And I didn't even realize it at the time that dreams were such an important part of the therapy I was doing with clients. Mostly people would come in, and the pattern would be that if they had a remembered dream, that would be the first thing they would share with me, because it seemed to expedite the work I was doing with them. It seemed to quicken the pace of moving from tragic into magic much more quickly. Dreams seemed to be that wonderful ingredient, that way of being able to look at things from an upside down and 360 perspective, and also the perspective in dreams that we are everyone and everything in our dreams. I think that's also one of the most empowering perspectives that not only applies to nighttime dreams, but our waking dream as well. So that led to me writing books and kind of becoming known as Dr. Dream. And it's been about 10, 12, 15 years now. I don't know, maybe 20 years. I lose track of time. I'm 54, so you do the math. I guess it's been 20 years.
Yeah.
So here I am with you.
Oh, thank you, Kelly. My gosh, I have several questions. That is an amazing story about co-dreaming with your sister, and interesting at the idea that enhances your psychic connection. And I also was curious about the hypnotherapy. Like hypnotherapy, we have psychic connection, we have dreaming. Are they all tapping into a same part of? I was going to say our mind, but I'm not sure it's our mind exactly.
I would say,
Yeah.
I would say it does. And we're talking about a territory that isn't completely and utterly describable in ordinary concrete terms. So everything about the subconscious mind, everything about dreams, everything about hypnosis, all of these things point towards something that is other than conscious, other than concrete, other than tangible. So it could be put in the woo-woo category. And yes, there have been lots of studies done on dreams, thank God, to validate this and make it into a science. But it doesn't, it can seem abstract to people. So I would just say, in a nutshell, for the people who are newer at this and maybe even skeptics, it's the part of ourselves that is beyond our five senses. And we've all been in love, or we've all been moved by a song, we've all been touched by a sunset, or we've all felt something that was beyond our five senses. And the realm of dreaming, the realm of the subconscious, the realm of hypnosis and hypnotherapy, it all takes place on the other side of the veil of what our ordinary senses tell us. And I feel like that's where the magic is. And I love the statistic, according to the American Hypnosis Association, our conscious mind, our logic, reasoning, all of everything that fits under the auspices of our conscious mind, it's 12% of our mind's power, versus our unconscious, subconscious, dreaming mind is 88% of our consciousness, of our mind's power. So to me, that statistic alone, whether it's absolutely accurate, some people would say maybe 1% is our conscious mind, and the 99% is our other than consciousness. Either way, the ratio is clear that most of our juice, most of our mojo, most of our power, most of our talent, most of our creativity, most of what's brilliant about us and problem solving and resourceful is in that realm. And one way of tapping into it so simply is by remembering a dream and talking about it. So you don't have to fly off and have an out-of-body experience or near-death experience or do even psychedelics, even though I'm kind of getting into it these days in this last year, honestly, for the first time. But I'm finding, I just got back from Peru and I just did ayahuasca for the first time. And my big aha was, this is no different than dreaming. This is what we do. This is the same. So yes, it's fun to go to Peru. It's fun to do ayahuasca. It's fun to do these rituals and these ceremonies. But hello, this is what we can do on an ordinary day back at home in the comfort of our own room.
Right. Well, one of my colleagues, Bill St. Cyr, likes to say that dreaming is like microdosing.
Totally. Or sometimes macro dosing, depending.
Yes, well, that brings me to the big dreams, the nightmares, and the ones that really wake us up or kind of grab us by the lapels and say, "Pay attention!" And the phrase you said really struck me. A nightmare is an unfinished dream, and and then I'm also wondering how this connects to that tagline of your book, turning the tragic into magic. Like, can we take that tragic, that painful nightmare and make it into something powerful and a gift, like some magic? Like, how do we do that?
No, I was just writing about that this morning, and I was writing about the concept of becoming better, not bitter, as so that we can sage while we age. And what I was writing was that it takes
a turn for words, Kelly. I just sage while we age. Okay.
I have to give my grandpa Bishop credit. He was kind of a silly poet, and I definitely inherited that from him. But what I was writing was, it takes no skill, zero skill, to become embittered by life. It takes no skill to be terrified by our nightmares. It takes no skill to let life harden us. Where the skill comes in is where we do something, where we turn it around. What I just wrote was, anti-venom doesn't happen by itself. So somebody gets bit by a snake and they're poisoned. They go to the doctor and they help me. The doctor has anti-venom available because there's been work in a laboratory to take the very same properties of the poison of the snake bite, the very venom that creates the poison, and they move those properties around, they swirl and swish them around, put them in a different order, and lo and behold, it becomes the medicine. It becomes the very thing that heals you. But it takes effort to create that medicine. If you wanted to do the no effort route, then you just get poisoned and then you get sick and then you die. That is easy. But to engage, so what I was just writing about was the skill it's in building this muscle of moving toward the things that frighten us, scare us, hurt us, and moving toward them as the Sonoy, for those who are aware of them or who believe in them. There's a lot of controversy around the fact that these people weren't as enlightened as they say, but I believe it's all true. This tribe of people that Kilton Stewart back in the 30s discovered, a dreaming tribe, and he said that they were the most enlightened beings he had ever come across, partly in part because of the way they moved toward their difficult dreams. So I thought, wow, this is where it's at, moving toward these things. But to slow it down for a second, we don't just move toward the things that terrify us willy-nilly. We have to suit up, show up. We have to resource up. We have to bring in our archangels, bring in our guides, make sure we're feeling strong as we move toward, so we don't want to just throw ourselves into the pit with the black lagoon with all the monsters. We want to make sure we have a rope ladder, a pickaxe. We want to have all the tools that we need at our disposal before we go in to be able to turn it around. So after so many years of being somebody that people came to with their nightmares, because most people don't seek out a therapist or a counselor because they're having a series of happy dreams, winning the lottery every night. They come in because they're in pain and their nightmares are unsettling to them. And the nightmares also relate to nightmarish situations that are happening in their waking life as well. So I developed a skill in being able to look at nightmares as these great opportunities for massive growth, not just baby step growth, but quantum leap kind of growth. So when people share a nightmare with me, whether it be an actual dreaming nightmare or a waking life nightmare, I strangely get really excited because I know there's a great opportunity right in store. And if somebody's willing to work on it with me, if they're willing to share it with me, if they're willing to do some of the basic steps I have distilled into a 4-step formula, then they will see magic that used to take up the place where there was tragic. So, and I'm using the words incorrectly here, but I like the poetry of magic and tragic. So there we go.
We're going to get into the Ogle method, which I think is super exciting. And from your new book, which I have been reading, and you actually talk about waking life experiences, which is a big difference. All your books up to this point are been about dreaming. And
Yes.
this is about the waking life experiences, and not just the beautiful triumphant moments, perhaps even not even.
In fact, quite the opposite.
Quite the opposite. And so like this Ogle method that you talk quite a bit about in the book, and I want to get into with you right in just a moment, is applicable to the dreaming and also to your waking life situations.
Yes, absolutely. I can't wait to talk about it. So the word ogle, for most people, that doesn't conjure a very happy notion. But I discovered this way of looking at ogle from the artist Rassouli, who, and it's his birthday today, by the way, coincidentally. He's the artist that is my favorite artist on the planet. He's done the artwork for my Oracle decks, and he's the Dream Oracle deck and the Hero's Journey Dream Oracle. And he's really funny and also very much a mystic. And I said, "You're such a great artist." He says, "No, I am not an artist. I am an ogler."
I know.
What do you mean an ogler? Ooh, isn't that creepy? He said, "I look at things and I see things that most people miss. I have this way of being able to get off on a dust mote, on a crack in the sidewalk, and I see it. And most people miss these things, and therefore they don't live in an artistic, creative way." I thought, wow, I don't have the painting skills at all that Rassouli has, but I thought, I wonder if I could become a transformational ogler, somebody who, and I realized one way to not transform our difficulties into opportunities that help us is to not really look at them, to just look at them for face value. But if we really look beneath the surface, then we can see what's going on under the surface, just like the scientist in the laboratory that's having to turn around the properties of the venom in the snake bite. So OGLE, I also thought it makes a great acronym, and it stands for O as for what's offensive about the situation, your waking life nightmare, the person that hurt your feelings, that didn't call you back, that slapped you in the face, or whatever they did. What's offensive? You have permission to whine and moan and indulge in all the victimhood and all the martyrdom in the world in the O. You journal it, yell it to a friend, a therapist, whatever. Until you're done with that, then you move to the G. The G is for what's good about it. This is what's good about you for being offended by that thing. What is this? What's good? What is this turning you into? What is it making you think about? What opportunities are available because of this awful thing? it's always pointing us towards something good. And then the L is not for the faint of heart. The L is for the looking glass.
Ooh.
When you say, ooh, how am I like this? How have I ever done this same thing? How have I ever hurt somebody, neglected them, disavowed them, whatever it is? How have I done the very same thing that this person is doing to me? Maybe to somebody else, but how am I even capable? How might I be capable of doing that thing? So it's a deep look into the looking glass. And that leads us to the E. And the E is for elevate. Now that we know all these things, now that we've expressed what's offensive, what's good about it, and how it's like ourselves, how we're in the looking glass, now we can do something about the only thing that we have any power over in this world is what's in our lane. So how can we take what's in our lane and elevate it? How can we elevate, even if it's just a micro dose, if it's just a micro step in the direction of us becoming slightly better, not bitter? How might we do that? So that's the Ogle formula.
Ogle. Thank you. This is Kelly Sullivan Walden, and we're gonna open the phones up. So you're welcome to call in if you have a question or a dream to share. The phone number is 831-900-5773. My name is Catherine Bell, and you're listening to The Dream Journal. And this is broadcast live from the KSQD studios in Santa Cruz, syndicated over the hill to KCXU in San Jose. And we will be right back. Okay, this is the Dream Journal, and we're here live with Kelly Sullivan Walden. The phones are now open. You can call in at 831-900-5773. You can also send an email, and Rick is in the studio checking emails to onair@ksqd.org. So we are talking about A Crisis is a Terrible Thing to Waste, a new book by Kelly Sullivan Walden, in which she talks about changing the tragic into magic using the Ogle method. I wonder if you could maybe bring some examples. You have so many wonderful stories from in the book, and I wonder if you have a favorite story that you'd like to share and how you applied the Ogle method, Kelly.
Oh my God! There's so many. There are actually a couple dreams that I reference in, and dreams kind of show up. They, around some of the other stories, but. There's one story in the book that is very dream centric, and it's about So in the dream, I am winning some kind of an award. I'm on a stage. Actually, it's a blonde woman, so it's not necessarily me, but I've made it sort of everybody in the dream is me anyway. So let's just call it me. I'm winning an award, and it turns out it's an award for being the people pleaser extraordinaire. And I'm like, oh wait, that's not the award I thought I was winning. That's not a good award. That sucks. But it's a very fancy gala. It's like the Academy Awards kind of a thing. And there's some woman off stage that's kind of directing me what to do. She's got like a headset on, and she's saying, okay, go walk to the right of the stage. Okay, now walk to the left. Now go to the front. And I'm kind of just following orders like a good little soldier. And then she says, okay, instead of us giving you an award, we're going to give you a new dress. And I open this box in front of everybody, and it's like an ooh and ah, it's glittery and diamond encrusted. And she says, okay, now put it on. And I said, well, shouldn't I go backstage to put it on? She says, no, there is no backstage. Wait, put it on here in front of everybody. I'm like, but that means I'd have to be naked. She's like, just do it. So I'm doing all the right things. And I'm like, okay. So I turn around, and So my ass is showing to the whole audience, and I try to step into the dress, only the dress is too small. It doesn't quite fit. So I can't pull it up over my ass. So the dream ends with me standing on a stage in front of thousands of people trying to pull up a dress with my ass hanging out. That's the dream.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
So this wouldn't be like a Freddy Krueger trying to kill me with, blood and guts everywhere nightmare, but it was a nightmare. And it actually happened while I was in the middle of the IASD conference. And for people who don't know, that's the International Association for the Study of Dreams. It was a conference a few years ago in Anaheim. So I carried this dream with me. It became the dream that I was working while I was there. And I ended up writing a poem about this dream, and it ended up being something that so empowered me. And I don't know if there's time, but I could sort of recite it. Let me see if I can remember how the dream goes. Do you want to hear?
Kelly, we actually have a caller. I wonder if we want to.
Okay, then I'll do. We'll pause. We'll come back.
I love your poems. I will want to come back to the poem, but I want to respect Jan and make her think she's not totally neglected.
Yes, Jan. We don't want to neglect Jan.
No,
thank you, Catherine, and thank you, Kelly. I've been listening all morning. I love the show, and this is so resonating with me fully. Awesome. I like that ogle part. That is so much my process, just one I have found through anguish. And I want to age gratefully. Not
sage
bitter.
While you age.
Sage. I want to be a sage while I age and enjoy every minute of the process.
Oh, Jan, I love you. You're my kind of gal.
I love you both so much, and you are both my kind of gals. So I'm going to hang up now and listen to the rest of the show.
Thanks for calling in, Jan.
Thank you. I just had to express my gratitude. Thank you so much.
I'm so glad you did.
God bless you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
How sweet.
How sweet.
Here we are on the stage with our butt hanging out, and we get
here we are. We'll just leave it there for a while. How about that?
Yeah.
Just try not to think about that, people. Get that image out of your mind.
No, but there's something about vulnerable about that, and comical too. It's a little bit Benny Hill, it really.
Oh God.
In my version of the dream, anyway.
Oh yeah. Okay. So shall I? Here. It's probably 5 minutes long, this poem. So I'm going to do it kind of quickly. My ass is hanging out on stage tonight in front of everyone. My deepest fear expressed because I can't fit in my dress. I was supposed to be receiving an award, a reward for being a people pleaser extraordinaire. Like Fred Astaire on air minus Ginger Rogers, because she's not there. She's trying so hard to get it right, holding tight to the rope she walks, trying so hard to do what she's been told, trying so hard to not grow old, trying so hard to not be too bold, because they won't like you, they won't love you, they won't protect you or accept you, no. They'll reject you. So what the bleep? I did everything they said. I became the Walking Dead. I wore the pretty dress they swore would look best on me and my figure. But now they'll have an image that's sure to linger of me in my naked glory, wiggling into this ridiculous story. Real quick before they can get a good look at my ass. Real quick before they have time to ask, why not use a changing room or go backstage to a private womb? Because there is no backstage. Not at this age. It's all up front, and there's nowhere to hide, so you're forced to see my backside. And the moon, she's full tonight. I'm stuck in this dress that doesn't fit. I'm stuck in my shame, and it feels like my people-pleasing is broken. That's it. I quit. I'm out. I'm done. Whoever you are out there, see my white flag? You've won. I rip off my dress, unzip my distress, leave the scene of the crime just in time, naked as a blue jay, walking a fine line, shake it all off, and then it hits me. wait a minute. The worst thing just happened to me. My public humiliation, my ass hanging out for all to see, but I'm not dead. It didn't kill me. I'm still me. In fact, more me, because now I have permission to be. Surprised to suddenly be free of the shackles that used to bind me to the disease to please that made me blind to the fact that I'd been in a Stepford trance. But now I'm free to do my own damn dance, to my own rhythm and my own groove and my own gyrations and my own moves. And I could end this dream right here. But my stage of shame is still behind. I gotta go back and claim what's mine. After all, it's still my ass that's on the line. I gotta figure out how to make this right, how to plug into my light if it takes all damn night. Because how can I love if I'm not there? How can I contribute if I don't care? I have to participate, to integrate, to excavate, to retaliate. Well, at least put in my 2 cents. Otherwise, it's not worth me wearing any old kind of beautiful dress. Damn it, I deserve this award. A reward for getting my ass back in my body, for honoring my soul that's worth more than gold. In my acceptance speech, I'll share about my glorious derriere out there for all to see, and it didn't kill me. I'm still alive. In fact, now I thrive.
Mic drop. Yes.
Mic drop. So if I'm going to break down the O goal, the O, what's offensive about this dream is that it revealed this people-pleasing tendency of mine, and it had gotten to the place where I felt pretty disgusted by it. And I was also angry at society, at the rules of this human life that would cause me to be so just feeling at the behest of everyone else and putting myself last. And what's good about all of that? Well, part of it is that this world isn't an easy thing to fit into, and I found my way. My people-pleasing was a good crutch, a good way to be able to actually care about other people and think about them and understand them. And it's not a horrible thing to be a chameleon and to be able to shape shift and morph and into making circumstances more pleasing for other people and thus myself. It's nice to not get kicked off the island. And then I look at the looking glass. Well, how am I complicit in this? How do I expect other people to please me? And how do I get upset when they zig left when I want them to zag right? How do I expect the same things of them? And how have I done this to myself? It wasn't really ultimately other people that caused me to be the people pleaser. It was mostly my own inner judge, my own inner jailer, my own inner director on the stage that was barking orders at me. That was me too. And then, so now that I know all of this, now that it's all in plain sight, how can I elevate? So my elevated step is to be, at least in the morning, to take a little time that's just mine, to pay attention to my dreams, to do some dream journaling, and be here on the Dream Journal radio show, to take some time to just be in my own world and to honor the rhythm and the pace of my own soul that turns out to actually move a little bit more slowly than I thought it did. Turns out I'm kind of a snail. I'm not so much of a rabbit. I'm a lot slower. When I'm in sync with my soul, I operate more slowly, and I might not get as much done every day that I think I'm supposed to, and it might cause some people to not like me for not getting everything in, but I'm going to honor my soul. I'm putting that first more than anything. And guess what just kind of arrived right outside my window, Catherine, as I'm saying
What?
this.
What?
A praying mantis.
Oh my goodness! What?
No,
A
just to kind of
what?
segue off into somewhere else, but I can't. It's like it's
Yeah.
kind of moving around, wanting to be noticed. So,
Real?
hello,
How big?
praying
How
mantis.
big is it? I mean, my goodness, those are like a
I would
big bug.
say it's about the size of my palm.
What?
Maybe
That's
if I put
huge.
my hand all the way out, it would be about my whole hand with, counting its legs. So
And you're in LA?
I'm in LA.
That's
Yeah, I'm in
amazing.
Topanga Canyon.
Okay, that's got to be synchronistic. That's just amazing.
Yeah,
A
I
praying
think
mantis.
I think
Oh,
it's I'm feeling very prayerful being with you. Thank you for asking me
right.
all these things.
Yeah, there's something about that vulnerability of letting our ass hang out, and I'm
Yeah.
here coughing away and doing what I need to do, and that there's like that maybe that's part of the prayer and part of the saging
Yeah.
instead of aging. Like we get into those moments. Oh, here we go for a cup.
Do it.
Oh, excuse me. That
Do
that
it.
that that is just something that this huge bug is representing for me.
I just looked it up and it says in Celtic symbolism and mythology, this insect represents courage and persistence as well as prayer and religious beliefs. So, what does it also say? The ancient Greek and Egyptians saw praying mantis as the guide for those who needed directions, either in life or in death. So I'll take
For
that as a
people
good sign.
needing directions. Well, don't we all need directions? I mean, that's interesting. The dreams always seem so inscrutable, and yet
Yeah.
they are providing directions. They are like, at least telling us where we're at right now, and then we get to take the direction to make that into the magic, from the tragic to the magic.
Exactly. Well, at least like knowing that it's there, and even in death, there is no death because our soul, which is who we truly are, has never been born and will never die. It's infinite and eternal. So there is no death. It's just the releasing of the body temple, which is intense for those of us like myself who've become quite attached to that.
Yeah.
But we can let it go. I've had a death experience that showed me that, wow, even if I leave my body, I'm still me. I can run, but I can't hide from myself. So that's either
Right.
good or bad news. But but yeah, I think dream work often leads to a conversation about death. It's often that's the case because I think it takes us to the edge of our attachments and it helps to give us a strength and a courage and a kind of a connecting bridge between here and the hereafter. So I think people who pay attention to dreams, we have a slightly more graceful advantage when it comes to these issues that relate to loss and perceived loss, actually, and being able
Right.
to live more fully while we're here.
Well, there is a whole Tibetan dream yoga practice which uses dreaming as a way of practicing death. And that ties into one of our early conversations about hypnotherapy, dreaming, and psychic, connections, and the ways that the part of ourselves that's beyond the five senses. And certainly, when we die, we will be beyond our five senses. And there's maybe there is some way that we are getting a glimpse of that while we're sleeping, and while our judging brain is unconscious, that we actually get a glimpse.
Yeah, it's interesting that you brought that up. I mean, I guess we just naturally bumped up against it. One of the stories in my book is called Tendril, and she was it was a baby that I was scheduled to adopt, and she was from the Himalayas, and she died the day before I was supposed to adopt her, and it was tragic on so many levels. Like it's the most, I believe it's the most tragic story that I write about. I mean, some of the stories in a crisis is a terrible thing to waste, or funny, and some of them are kind of silly, but some of them, like this one, it doesn't get harder and deeper and darker than this. But I went into the darkest night of the soul I'd ever had, and I eventually discovered, I went down a search for Viktor Frankl, and I found a bunch of his videos and audios, and I just became kind of obsessed with his work because of all the spiritual teaching on the planet. And I've got a doctorate degree in these things. I know a lot of of wonderful spiritual tools and practices, but none of them worked for me during this dark night of the soul. The only thing that worked for me was Viktor Frankl, because he had survived something so much worse than what I was going through. And he came through it with this resilient perspective about how we have to be in logotherapy. It's the therapy of meaning, and it's based on what meaning we give things is what will take away from our lives or give us life. And I realized that I had made up a story when Tendril died that life was meaningless and there was no God, there was no purpose, there was no reason. And of course I wouldn't want to live on a planet like that. But in Viktor Frankl's work, he said, you must come up with some meaning that gives you life. So I played with just kind of a made up meaning. I said, okay, well, what if Tendril was an angel? And what if I had 2 weeks with her? Because I had 2 weeks with her before I had to fly back to Los Angeles from Miami, which is where she was. And I said, what if I got 2 weeks with an angel? And some people don't even get a day with an angel, even maybe 2 minutes with an angel. What if I got 2 whole weeks? What if that was my gift? What if that was my soul agreement with her? What if that was enough? And then what if she accomplished everything in her 6 months of life? She was a 6-month baby. Actually, by the time she died, she was 8 months. What if she accomplished everything she came to do on earth in that short time, whereas it takes most of us 90 years to get to it? Maybe she did it like that. And so that became the story that I made up, and that started to heal me. And then within maybe a week or so, somebody reached out to me because I'm known as Dr. Dream, and I have written all these dream books. He said, do you know anything about Tibetan dream practices? And I almost replied, nope. But I thought, well, I should do a little research. That would be probably the good and scholarly thing to do. So I did some research, and I came upon an article written by Robert Moss about Tendril, Tibetan dreaming, that a Tibetan dream yoga, that just as you were talking about, Catherine, that is a practice by which you connect the tendril vine, the vine, the connecting vine between heaven and earth, and this side of the veil and the other side of the veil. And I almost fell off my chair. This is, and it's called Tendril. I mean, it's not in every place, but the one that Robert was talking about was called Tendril. And I looked him up. I thought, I got to talk to this dude. I found his number, and I picked up the phone and called him. He answered on the first ring, and we talked for about 2 hours. He was a complete stranger to me. And he indulged me for 2 hours as we talked about Tendril and dream yoga and this practice of connecting, using dreams to be able to connect both sides of this side and the other side. And it affirmed to me, it was a synchronicity that really touched me. So I ogled that. What was offensive is that she died, and it broke my heart. What was good about it was that I got 2 weeks with an angel, which is better than no time with an angel. And it also led me to Robert Moss, who became a big influence in my world and in my work, and a great mentor to me. And it also affirmed that even when the worst thing happens, there's this ability that we have to be able to make up meaning. And I've been able to, people, not just people that want questions answered about their dreams, but I've had a lot of people come to me for therapy because they've lost loved ones or they're facing death. And I feel like I'm kind of a death doula of sorts because I've walked through this particular dark night of the soul. And the looking glass is, where did I let a part of myself die during this? Where did I make up a meaning that stripped my life of life? Where am I the killer? Where am I the murderer? And where my thoughts, if I think it one way, I could think my way out of not wanting to be on the planet, or I could think my way into wanting to be here with gusto. So that's the looking glass. And then the E for elevate is to move on and to find as much meaning and beauty in life as possible, and notice Notice those tendril vine moments that connect us. And the word tendril seems to show up all the time.
Thank you, Kelly. This is amazing and very, very touching and beautiful. How can our listeners get in touch with you? And maybe you'd like to say a little bit about the things that you're offering.
Oh my heavens! Thanks for asking. Yeah, if people are listening in real time, my book, A Crisis is a Terrible Thing to Waste: The Art of Transforming the Tragic into Magic. It's available for pre-sale right now on all the different online platforms. But if you go to my website, kellysullivanwalden.com/tragic, the number 2 magic, tragic to magic, you'll find you'll be able to get all the gifts, the pre-order gifts. And I've got over $500 worth of offerings that people get when they pre-order the book. And then on January 17th, the day of the launch, I'm going to have a special event. And P.S. for anybody who buys pre-orders 5 books or more, and they let me know by sending me an email to kelly@kellysullivanwalden.com, their name gets put into a drawing to win a retreat to Costa Rica. This is a $3,500 value. I was just there, and it is first class, glorious, 5 stars, beautiful retreat. So that retreat takes place in June. The airline is not included, but it's really inexpensive to fly to Costa Rica. So we've got a lot of really fun things coming up for this book launch. I'm really excited about it. It's the bridge between dreams and our nighttime dreams and our waking dreams. And
fabulous. So we can go to kellysullivanwalden.com to get more information, and also to look at Kelly's programs about practitioner training and her fabulous podcast, The Kelly Sullivan Walden Show, Wednesday mornings, and also podcast everywhere. So thank you so much for being on the show, Kelly. This has been amazing.
Catherine, this has been so dreamy, and I don't know if I'm imagining it, but your voice is sounding better. I think you're healing as we speak.
Oh, that works for me, yes. Thank you, dear. Take care.
Thank you. Sweet dreams.
All right, you too. Bye. So next week our guest will be Jason Altever. Jason is an avid dream enthusiast and a lucid dreamer. He'll be talking about some of the significant dreams he has had and how they have shaped his choices. Also, I'll be starting another round of the interactive Zoom dream series I call Experiencing Your Dreams. It's a 5-week series starting on Monday, but you can join at any time. You can email me for details or to go experientialdreamwork.com/workshops. You can listen to the live broadcast Saturday at 10 or catch the podcast replay, which as always will be released on the Monday following the show. I am Catherine Bell, and this has been the Dream Journal. Thanks for listening. You can find out about my own dream coaching practice at experientialdreamwork.com. Email me at catherine@ksqd.org, katherine@ksqd.org. Please contact me so we can talk about dreams and so I can let you know about my upcoming dream offerings. The Dream Journal is produced at the studios of KSQD in Santa Cruz, California. Archives and 24/7 live stream at ksqd.org. Please subscribe, rate, and review. I'd like to thank Rick Kleffel, engineer and music creator, and Tony Rosamano on the phones, Eva Milady for audio editing. Intro music is Water Over Stones. Outro music is Everything, both by Mood Science. Join me again next Saturday at 10 a.m. And tomorrow morning when you wake up, take a minute to write down your dream and bring it to the next Dream Journal.